Welcome back. Today we have a great word, a founding father, an outlaw, an aviation first, a negotiation, a monument, a bit of cultural news, a music selection, and a quote. So grab your favorite cuppa, settle in, and let's have a look. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for April 13th. April 13th is the 103rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 104th in leap years, with 262 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is heuristic. Heuristic can be a noun or an adjective. As a noun, Merriam-Webster says it's a method, a process or procedure that involves learning, discovery, or problem solving by experimental and especially by trial and error methods. One could think of it as having to do with a mental shortcut or rule of thumb used to solve problems quickly. Might be a practical method, might not be perfect, but it's good enough for making decisions. In simple terms, a heuristic is a quick way to figure something out without overthinking it. For example, a common heuristic is to choose the shortest line at the grocery store. One might adopt a financial heuristic of putting 10% of every dollar earned into savings, an idea I certainly agree with. Still, as a noun here, heuristic might refer to the science or art of heuristic procedure. As an adjective, heuristic may refer to involving or serving as an aid to learning, discovery, or problem solving by experimental and especially trial and error methods. Example uses as an adjective might be heuristic techniques or a heuristic assumption. A heuristic is like a shortcut for thinking, not always perfect, but often very helpful. Examples of heuristic assumptions could be, if it's expensive, it's probably better quality, or if a restaurant is crowded, the food must be good. These assumptions may not always be right, but they do help us make decisions quickly. The word heuristic comes to us through several iterations, originally from Greek, where it had to do with discovering something. First known use of the word heuristic is in the 1820s. Heuristic. Today's word heuristic was suggested by YouTube viewer at Debbie Yankee 8724. Thanks, Debbie. And if you have a word you'd like to see in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments and we'll get it on the list. And with that, this is the birthday of American founding father, lawyer, and politician, and third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, born April 14, 1743, at the Shadwell Plantation in what was then Virginia, British America. A leading proponent of democracy, republicanism, and natural rights, and a strong advocate for individual rights, including freedom of thought, speech, and religion, Thomas Jefferson is noted to be the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, as well as other significant documents and papers. We could be here the rest of the day talking about him, but I think I've hit some of the significant highlights. Thomas Jefferson lived to the age of 83, notably passing away on July 4, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and also the same day as contemporary and second President of the United States, John Adams. This is the birthday of Robert Leroy Parker, born April 13, 1866. He's better known as American cowboy, bank robber, and train robber, and the leader of a gang of criminal outlaws known as the Wild Bunch in the Old West. They just couldn't stop robbing trains and banks, so of course the law was after them all the time. He fled to South America with his friend and partner in crime, Harry Longbaugh, better known as the Sundance Kid, and Sundance's girlfriend, Etta Place. By and by, Etta got quite enough of life on the run and returned to San Francisco. Butch and Sundance just couldn't seem to quit committing robberies, and the two of them died during a lengthy shootout in Bolivia in South America. We're pretty sure that was them anyway. The first nonstop flight from Europe to North America took place on April 13, 1928. They took off from Ireland and landed on a small Canadian island. Japan and the USSR signed a non-aggression pact on April 13, 1941. Not that they were all that friendly toward each other, but agreeing not to fight with each other freed them up to focus on other things. On April 13, 1943, the Jefferson Memorial was dedicated in Washington, D.C. on the 200th anniversary of President Thomas Jefferson's birth. On April 13, 1958, 23-year-old American pianist Van Cliburn was awarded the first prize at the inaugural International Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow. As amazing as that is, this was even more remarkable because it took place during that part of history known as the Cold War. If you happen to be that part of my audience who are too young to quite know what the Cold War was, it was a period of international geopolitical rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union and their respective allies that began in the aftermath of World War II. So, for a young American to go to the USSR at all was quite something. He played a song there called Moscow Nights, which really endeared him to the Russian audience. I think everyone who ever met him was impressed by his friendly and personable nature. Here in Fort Worth, over in the Cultural District, there's actually a street named after him, Van Cliburn Way. Turns out he lived about a mile or two just west of me here. What a talent, Van Cliburn. He passed away in 2013 at the age of 78. Astronauts have been in the news lately, haven't they? The Artemis II crew and their historic trip to the moon, quite something. Today, then, we have a bit of space history as well, and it is that on April 13, 1970, Apollo 13 said, "Houston, we've had a problem here." Oxygen tank number 2 had blown up, causing some serious problems with the mission and threatening the astronauts' lives. The guys on the ground scrambled to try to figure out some solutions for them. It was certainly touch and go for a while. High tension and a flat dab miracle that they made it back at all, but they sure did. Apollo 13. All these years later, and still slightly infatuated with the idea of Van Cliburn, I set about to look for some music that he played for today's song, and my goodness, there are so many. And while he does have a discography, everything I could find on YouTube to offer you was a live performance of one sort or another, typically a bit longer or with lengthy introductions or background noise like audience reactions. So I have a couple of pieces for you. One is from opening day at the Texas Rangers baseball stadium on April 11, 1994. Backed up by the Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra, Van Cliburn played a rousing and heartfelt national anthem that day. Very nicely done. The second piece I've linked is him playing the Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto No. 1, B-flat minor, so you get to choose which one you'd like to listen to. Links to both of those are in the description. How about that? And what an interesting and varied day. For today's quote, we have one that's a bit tongue-in-cheek from the English comedian, writer, and actor Ricky Gervais, who said, "Everyone agrees with free speech until they hear something they don't like." Ricky Gervais. What a character that guy is. Alrighty, y'all take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time.